Hello everybody, and welcome to my complete guide to the hidden stuff in the Hidden Realms update. I'll give details on the world spawn scavenger bosses as well as their obliteration versions and cover everything you need to know about the void-filled hidden realm. Also, the footage you'll see in the background is taken off of my stream at twitch.tv/Woolie Gaming, so you can check more content out over there. Let's begin with the scavenger bosses. Though they can technically spawn on any stage, you will likely only encounter them on your second loop and beyond, and maybe on stage 4 due to how expensive they are for the director to spawn. Think of their likelihood to spawn being the same as an overloading worm, just without the stage restrictions, meaning you can have the possibility of encountering them on any stage, unlike overloading worms, which will only spawn on Rally Point Delta and Abyssal Depths. Otherwise, they are roughly just as rare. The special property about scavenger bosses is their ability to scavenge for items and equipment. You heard that right. If you ever wondered what an enemy in Risk of Rain 2 would do with an ATG missile launcher, ukulele, and 57 leaf clover, well, wonder no longer. According to the wiki, upon initial spawn, a scavenger will have 9 common items over 3 types, which I'm assuming the type refers to damage, utility, defense, healing, etc., and not a specific item. 4 uncommons over 2 types, a legendary item, and any equipment. Note that aside from these exemptions, every other item and equipment is a possibility for them to have. Upon death, they will drop their backpack, which gives you anywhere from 8 to 10 random items from random rarities. This means that the items a scavenger is holding do not influence what their loot will contain. Just because he has a Tesla coil doesn't mean you will get one. Not only can you get a pretty nasty scavenger with teddy bears, crit chance, ATGs, and a Tesla coil, but if you don't take them out fast enough, guess what? They're gonna start getting more items. This is due to their special abilities. Their basic attack shoots a 3-round burst with 3 shots in each burst. Each shot has a proc coefficient of 2.0, meaning their chance to proc sticky bombs, ATGs, and such is doubled. Their next ability is when they throw out the little exploding balls. I thought these were like hand-thrown sticky bombs at first, but turns out they're actually scarier than that. Not only do each 6 pellets deal damage and proc on hits, but their explosion counts as a death, and thus they will proc any on-kill effects that the scavenger may have. Remember that blacklisted item list? Do you see ceremonial daggers anywhere on it? Uh-oh. Last, we have their ability to find more items. Note that in addition to everything the wiki says here, it does not mention that they will get a pretty sizable armor buff while finding an item, making them much more difficult to finish off during the move. I can't find the exact amount, but I'd guess it's somewhere around a 60% damage reduction. My biggest recommendation to deal with the scavengers is that as soon as you see one on the stage, it is priority number 1. Take them out before anything else. Otherwise, they will begin finding more items and becoming even tougher to deal with. If you're lacking on damage and run into one with a lot of healing, such as a wood sprite for its equipment, it is going to be a very tough fight. Near impossible if it has any tougher times on top of that. So in cases such as those, I would just skip them entirely. Despite them being dangerous in combat, their movement speed is laughably slow, and you can easily outrun them to fight the teleporter boss and then leave the stage. Now let's move on to the twisted scavenger bosses in the A Moment Whole hidden realm. If you didn't know, you can access these special boss fights when activating the obliteration obelisk with a beads of fealty in your inventory. This is a special way to obliterate. There are actually 4 variations of these scavengers: Kip Kip, Twip Twip, Whip Whip, and not Dip Dip, but Gura Gura. Excellent names, Hopu, 10 out of 10. The difference between these scavs and their world spawn counterparts is that they come with preset items and equipment. Note that aside from Whip Whip, they all have the same stats and scaling, with Whip Whip having higher health and lower damage to compensate for having shaped glass, which then halves and doubles those respective amounts. Hopefully you encounter either Twip Twip or, better yet, Kip Kip, because their item synergies are far less dangerous than their damage-riddled brethren. Kip Kip's only threat are the 3 Genesis loops that he has, so when he gets low HP, make sure you stand behind one of the rocks or simply keep a distance to outrange the explosion. Also, you can completely nullify his healing if you 1. Keep him away from the monster tooth orbs that will spawn from the pellet attack, and 2. Do not stop damaging him for longer than 1 second, which will prevent the medkits from ever popping. Other than that, enjoy your free loner coins whenever you see Mr. Kip Kip show up. Twip Twip also poses little to no threat, with his glowing meteorite being the only problem. Simply avoid the impacts of each meteor and you'll kill him with ease. Now, Whip Whip and Gura Gura are the 2 that you'll want to look out for. Not only do both have a plethora of on-hit items, but also scale them to an absurd level due to a shaped glass and freaking clover, respectively. Watch out for both of these guys and do any and everything you can to avoid every single attack that comes your way. Upon defeat, regardless of which boss you actually fought, you can open their pack like the regular scavengers, but they yield 10 lunar coins as their loot. You will always receive 10 coins regardless of which difficulty you are playing on, which makes obliterating with the beads of fealty an extremely efficient way to grind lunar your coins out. After the boss is dead, you will still receive the 5 coins you get from obliterating as usual, in addition to the 10 you get from the boss. One last thing, if you care about the logbook, it is behind a distant rock that you can barely make out behind the boss. You can and should collect this before fighting the boss because you otherwise risk running out of time while traveling to it due to the screen immediately starting to fade upon the boss's defeat. Speaking of logbooks, let's now talk about the other hidden realm introduced with the update, the Void Fields. On second thought, it's not really a good transition because, well, maybe it would help with me actually telling you how to get there before telling you what the logbook is. To access the Void Field, simply go into a blue portal at any time, turn around and jump off where you spawn, and fall towards the wall. There will be an opening surrounded by a yellow haze. Follow that opening down and you'll find the Void Portal at its end. Before I start explaining the details of the Void Field encounter, here is the logbook's location. I highly recommend choosing Mercenary for this due to his quick and easy mobility. Find the above ground arches on a hill overlooking the rest of the map. The exit portal is always in the same location, so use it as a reference for where I am. Jump down to where you'll see a horizontally placed ring. Jump off of that ring and fall onto a set of broken rings below it. Take a leap of faith, but do not fall too far down, else you'll miss the next ring. And at the end of that ring, next to the wall, is your logbook. Now, if you've seen my unlock guide for Acrid, you'd know the rough details of what to do in the Void Fields. Simply find the 9 cells scattered randomly throughout the stage, indicated by a large purple beam blasting into the sky. Activate the one with the beam and wait until its charge is complete. Waves of increasingly powerful monsters will spawn with each cell completion, and like the scavenger bosses, these monsters will have random items, starting with their first one on wave 2 and getting a new one on every other wave. The amount of time needed to charge a cell is equivalent to an entire teleporter charge, so 90 seconds. This means at a bare minimum, you will spend 13.5 minutes here. Time is not paused or slowed at all in the Void Fields. Also, you do not need to kill the monsters or even stay inside of the cell's area to charge it. Just know that you will constantly be taking damage by not staying inside of the pink circle. However, and the secret to Void Fields in their current state is that none of this matters. Seriously, none of it. If you have a single Titanic Knurl, Rejuvac, Gnarled Wood Sprite, Foreign Fruit, or Bustling Fungus, you can ignore every single mechanic in the zone by standing in a safe spot. I'm not sure if Hopu are aware of this, but you should expect that they are and will more than likely be patching this method out. You have been warned. Basically, if you have any source of healing aside from slugs and medkits, as both of those require you to actively not be taking damage to heal you, you can jump off of the edge behind the portal, remember it's always in the same spot, and stand here to avoid all monsters. You will still take damage from the zone, which is why one source of healing is required. The reason this works is because the damage you take is dependent on your current health, meaning the lower your HP gets, the less damage the zone will deal, with the minimum stopping at 1 damage per tick. All you have to do is go from cell to cell, activating one with a beam, and then retreating, I prefer tactically withdrawing, back to the safe spot. Again, I have no idea how much longer this method will exist, so use it at your own risk. Also, note that the exit portal can be taken at any time, so if you want or need to leave, you can go whenever you want. Despite the safe spot making the entire counter a non-threat to your health bar, it's still a threat to your overall run just due to how long it takes to complete. 13.5 minutes includes 0 travel time between the cells, which is obviously not going to happen. Every time I've entered, it takes about 15 minutes total. While it may be exciting to get a guaranteed legendary item early on in a run, I highly recommend avoiding this zone until your run is above average or better. You don't go in here early for the same reason you don't farm for the legendary chest on Abyssal Depths or fight the Adler Worship unit on Siren's Call if your run isn't quite popping off yet. It simply takes too much time and will likely end up shafting you for the remainder of your run unless you get an amazing legendary item as a reward. Yes, you do get 4 white and 4 green items in addition to the legendary item from Void Fields, but are 4 random whites and 4 random greens really going to make up for a Frost Relic, Happiest Mask, or Head Stomper? No. And if you didn't pull teddy bears, crit glasses, ukuleles, ATGs, and other stuff, well, good luck on making up for those 15 minutes you just spent here while the outside monsters continue to scale up. In summary, unless you have a pretty good run going, do not enter the Void Fields. I'd really like to see some emphasis placed on killing monsters to save time. Maybe after killing a certain amount, make the cell instantly charge up, or add a percentage to the charge per monster killed. Something along those lines. Alright, that does it with all the info I wanted to cover regarding the Hidden Realms. If you have any questions or want to give me your feedback, leave a like or dislike on the video as well as a comment below. I read them all, I promise. If you'd like to watch me play Risk of Rain 2 live, you can check out my stream over at twitch.tv/Woolie Gaming, and also consider joining our Discord server. I always announce when I go live on Twitch or upload new video here on YouTube, so if you'd like those notifications as well as a place to just hang out and play with others, our Discord is the place you want to be. Thank you for watching, and be on the lookout for my character tier list coming in here pretty soon.